Her Earth and solar system were created 78 trillion years ago. As soon as the Earth was ready, 144,000 ancestors came from another star system, the star called Sirius that was worshipped by the ancient Egyptians. They inhabited the Earth after preparing it by seeding it with plant and animal life. After about 7,000 years since their arrival, their population increased from 144,000 to 1,008,000,000, 1 BAM. This number, 1b8 meters, is the most sacred number in creation. It is the total number of original people who inhabited the first Earth of our universe countless trillions of years ago. Thus every Earth inhabited thereafter keeps this number as their final and stable population. It was determined to be the ideal number of people that can inhabit a planet the size of Earth in complete comfort, without imposing on each other or on the natural resources, as well as on the animals and plants. That enables complete freedom of movement for all life on the planet, and this is essential for peace, prosperity, and spiritual growth, the gaining of knowledge. The reason why the number is specifically 1b8 meters is described in the mathematics section of Black Root Science. The first Earth mentioned above was created by the b8 meters original gods from the stars of the previous universe. They had existed in that previous universe, toward its end, along with trillions upon countless trillions of other people, in a state of mind called divine unity, or the oneness of God. It is a state of mind where all the people in the universe unite as one. This one is God in truth, not the spirit, God of modern religions. When the trillions upon trillions of people at the end of the previous universe were united as one, they experienced an indescribable expansion of their minds, which were as one mind. It expanded to such an extent that it not only circumscribed their entire universe, but exceeded its boundaries by an immeasurable extent. The one mind, or God, became so large that the previous universe could no longer contain him, her. She felt a need for a larger universe in which the experience of life would continue. The trillions upon trillions of people, still united as one, then decided to abandon that universe. They consciously left their perfected bodies and rose in mind far above the universe. They then looked down on it and saw it as a small sphere, the way our Earth looks when seen from high above in space. Now, the mind is always attached to the body. There is no such thing as a mind without a body, as so-called spiritualists would like us to believe. The mind can extend beyond the outer reaches of space, even expand infinitely, but a magnetic attraction always attaches it to the physical body. The magnetic attraction dissipates at death, and the mind and individual personality, or soul, then ascends. The unified mind of the people, who were as one person, was so immense that the stars appeared to be the size of atoms. As this person was contemplating the universal sphere, she saw that it was adequate for habitation as a new Earth, with all the stars being its atoms. She made 1,008,000,000 new bodies corresponding to the size of the new Earth, using some of its substance, the stars, atoms. Then she disconnected the magnetic connection to the old bodies and left them in the old universe. The 1b8 meters gods then descended upon the new Earth into the new bodies and became the first inhabitants. The matter of every star and planet in the universe is created in 7 forms. In modern words, these are magnetism, electricity, light, ether, gases, liquids, and solids. The 4th substance, ether, is the central supporting substance of the other 6. It is the womb of creation called space. It is black in color, as one can see by looking out into space at night. This absolute blackness called space not only supports the other substances, but it also gives individual color to all objects because the color black contains all other colors in itself. Hence when the b8 meters original gods made themselves new bodies, they covered them in skin whose color is black, getting it directly from the ether. Because the gods create all plants and animals from their own bodies, they need to have all colors stored in a single color in their creative germ, which is called the dark dominant germ or gene, the source of what modern people call melanin. Upon arriving on the first earth, the one mind of God incarnated instantly in 1v8 meters bodies, as already said. Half of them, 504 million, were female and the other half were male. Each pair of male-female gods are called soulmates. They always create in soulmate pairs, even when in large groups, because all creation has a male, female or negative, positive principle. Negative is not used in a derogatory sense, but as the complement of positive. The V8 meters original people then proceeded to instantly create perfect plants and animals, called the original totems, from which all evolutionary life forms evolved. They also proceeded to create new stars and planets around the first Earth by condensing part of their expanded mind. After living on that first Earth for more than 1 trillion years, they finalized the plans for the completion of a new, much larger universe. They then gave birth to their descendants, and then passed out of life, ascended. Before passing, they established the Society of the Black Nation. They established it by withdrawing from or leaving their divine unity, in which they had existed for over 1 trillion years. They did this in order to be able to bring new life into the world, new persons who had never existed before, such as you and me. At the same time, in order to ensure the continuity of eternity, these same V8 meters original gods continue to incarnate in the new people. They reside in the unconscious part of the person's mind and are called the mind of God, or the divine gift of ancestral memory, or what modern people call the Spirit of God. Thus every black person, even though he or she is born brand new, is simultaneously one of the V8 meters original gods. Only the personality is new. The spirit is old, even eternal. The V8 meters original people all withdrew from the divine unity except 24 people, 12 men and 12 women. They became the kings and queens called the 24 elders, who are really 12 gods or 12 soulmate couples. The 24 elders are called the custodians of divine unity. The 12 gods chose 12 assistants each and called them the 144 chiefs. The gods divided the population into 12 tribes of 84 million people. They further divided each tribe into 6 clans, and set 2 chiefs, a man and a woman, as the heads of each clan. The chiefs chose 1,000 people each and called them the 144,000 judges. They sent them in soulmate pairs all over the earth to set the foundations for 72,000 cities. Each couple took about 14,000 people with them to establish their city. This was the basic organization of the Black Nation established by the original gods on the first earth. When other earths were completed and settlers sent to them, this organization was repeated and remains as the divine form of kingdom, queendom on every inhabited earth throughout the universe. The original gods also established 7 great rituals of initiation to be used by the leaders to elevate all new people to divine unity. God's purpose for creating universe after universe is to increase himself, herself. Every person who completes the 7 great rituals becomes full God, exactly like the original people. At that moment of completion, God rediscovers himself, herself anew, as if she had never existed before. That is how God renews himself, herself, thus overcoming the stagnancy that would be the case in an eternally all-knowing being who never changes. In addition to the 7 great rituals, the original people also established many other rituals and customs covering every area of science and life. They then initiated the leaders of their descendants into this knowledge before passing. Their initiation rituals have been faithfully transmitted from generation to generation since the beginning. On our Earth, This form of divine rule existed uninterrupted for 78 trillion years, until 6,000 years ago, when a certain god decided it was time for all the other gods, you and me, to experience that part of us contained in what is called the non-creative recessive light germ. He caused the birth of new races of people, the non-blacks, who would be the vehicles to manifest all that is in that gene. All things, without exception, are contained in God. God will experience all that is contained in him, her. He, she knows all, but has not experienced all. He, she uses the creation for this purpose of experiencing all that is known, including what is called evil. Hence 6,000 years ago, a god by the name of Yahweh, called Jacob in other ancient scripts, was born here on our earth. He, together with about 60,000 volunteers who are called the Elohim, made the non-blacks in our image. They made them by suppressing the dominant black gene and slowly unfolding the recessive light gene over a period of 7 generations of offspring, or 200 years. This caused the appearance of the first light race, born to black people. After another 200 years of deliberate and careful breeding, they caused the second light race to appear out of the first. Then 200 years later the third race appeared, and finally, 66 years after the appearance of the third race, yellow race, the fourth race, Caucasians, appeared. These 60,000 people, Yahweh and the Elohim, thus initiated the modern age and the process that would eventually bring our divine kingdom to a temporary end. That, in brief, is the sacred history leading from the first earth to our earth, and to the present situation or cycle called evil, which was preordained to last for 6,000 years. Introduction to Level 1. Very interesting. Red, where did you get all this information from? Who told you about it, and who told the person who told you, and etc., as in where did this all originate from? I was taught the ancient history of our people by the elders of my tribe. They have kept it in safe custody for many thousands of years, and pass it from generation to generation through oral teachings and initiation. I may have missed it, but could you give us some indication of what part of Africa your information comes from? Some of it is very familiar, other parts are completely foreign and don't seem to correlate with any indigenous spiritual system in Africa, of which I am aware. You also spoke of initiations. To what, by whom, and of what lineage? I'm from the tribe called Botswana. My people live in different regions in southern Africa, in the countries of Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Angola, and Namibia, but mostly in South Africa and Botswana. Our language is called Setswana, or Seshwana. The elders that I mentioned are the custodians of secret knowledge in my tribe. This type of secret dissemination of knowledge exists in many other tribes throughout Africa. It originated, or rather became secret, in ancient Egypt 6,000 years ago. Before then, it was taught openly to all black people starting at childhood. You consider all of Botswana to be one tribe? Are your initiations considered general rites, which are conveyed among African community members as they reach certain ages, or are you receiving specialized training as a Dingaka and/or Sagoma? If you serve in one of these two capacities, please tell us how long you have been in training. It's rather exciting to think we have some African healers or priests from Southern Africa living in the Americas. Also, if you don't consider it intrusive, please place more environmental context on your information. Tell us what the names of the creator, intermediary gods and ancestors are within your tradition. What are some of the rituals that are safe for general public to practice? Outside of oral history, what are you authorized to share with Africans born in West? If you don't mind, I want to put a small note on the first page of this post and in the title bar indicating that your spiritual knowledge is from Botswana. Our tribe of Botswana is divided into many smaller clans. I'm from the clan called Bikatla. I'll briefly outline our initiation system for those who are new to such information. There are 3 types of initiatory training among my people, as is the case among many African tribes. The first is general rites, as you put it, which youths undergo at about puberty. After that, a handful are selected to be trained as Dingaka, Naka, singular, Dingaka plural. The term, Sangoma, belongs to the Zulu tribe, and is not used among us, but it means the same thing, as you probably know. A second group, much smaller, is then selected at a later stage to be trained as griot. A second group, much smaller, is then selected at a later stage to be trained as griots. I am a griot, a tribal historian, and not a Naka. There are 2 types of griots. The first is called Moseki, or a memorizing griot, for lack of a better word. Such initiates are trained usually from childhood in certain rites that vastly improve their powers of memory to exceed that of ordinary people. Then they are taught oral history, and memorize it word for word, so they can transmit it to following generations exactly as they received it. The second type of griot is called Machidi. This word is difficult to translate, but it effectively means one who lives with the ancestors. I am a Machidi. The central tenet of African initiation rites is that the lives of our ancestors, the gods, are still as vibrant today as they were in their time. With this tenet as the foundation, we are trained to access that vibrancy, and transport our minds or spirit to their time. We are guided to travel in spirit until we reach what we call Mojako, the gate, and receive the blessings of the gatekeeper. Then we are assigned a custodian, through whose eyes and mind we see the past. We are thus enabled to research and investigate the lives of our ancestors exactly as if they were living right now. The time we live in that state we call Ditoro, or dream time. It's not related to outside time. In just 3 nights we are able to live 1,000 years or more in Ditoro. The experience of Ditoro has a vividness that far exceeds that of modern ordinary experiences. I was taught that our ancestors lived in that type of vivid consciousness as their normal everyday experience prior to 6,000 years ago. Our present minds have been severely slowed down, so to speak, due to the deterioration of our bodies, which are inferior to what our ancestors had then. What we discover in that state becomes indelibly etched in our mind. It is just as vivid today in my mind as it was when I completed my first Ditoro 21 years ago. That's a brief overview of the experience. The rites that are actually used to open it up for us, as well as the names of the guardians, custodians and gods we meet, are sacred. What little I've told is about as much as I'm allowed to tell. The secrecy in which we are initiated today is only a temporary phenomenon. It started 6,000 years ago to keep certain knowledge from the present rulers of the world. Before then, all black people were taught as a matter of course using the same kind of rites and rituals. We have reached a point in this 6,000-year cycle when the empire of the white man is about to crumble. The secret initiations are about to be re-established as a common teaching method. That's the reason why I've prepared and posted these teachings. WHO taught these elders. Where did they get their knowledge? Is their knowledge available in other forms outside of your posts? Should you really be sharing this knowledge? Black Roots Science, is it a way of life or like a religion? Or just a form of science which is based on earthly principles and one heaven, space, principles? Can it tell us about afterlife? Or the end of the flesh man and the birth of the spirit man? Does it explain the spirit as E equals mc2, energy that is not destroyed, just changing form? Can it justify how soul, spirit and body work in harmony as one? Who taught my elders? They were taught by their own elders. Every generation of my tribe have their own elders. Before they pass on, ascend, they initiate new people to become the custodians of tribal knowledge. This system of education by initiation has been going on in my tribe, as well as 11 other tribes, for 6,000 years. Where did they get their knowledge? Our knowledge was established 6,000 years ago into a coherent system of initiation rites by Jacob, whose real name is Yahweh. He divided the knowledge into 3 compartments. The first and highest in this age consists of 360 degrees of knowledge. It is this system in which I am initiated. The second consists of 36 degrees of knowledge. It is upon this system that the mystery temples of ancient Egypt were founded. That knowledge is called the wisdom of the 36 netters. The third and final system consists of 33 degrees of knowledge. Jacob, Yahweh established it for teaching the light-skinned races. In ancient times, the most intelligent of them were recruited from their countries into the Ethiopian Empire, including Egypt and the Middle East. They were taught the 33 degrees of knowledge and then sent back to their homelands where they established secret societies. The most predominant still in existence today are the so-called Freemasons. The Rosicrucians and Theosophists are the highest practitioners of the 33 degrees, and from them come the others such as the Templars, White Brotherhood of Light, Illuminati and other light race secret societies.